What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics. Up next, I've got a pretty huge unboxing here. I've got 4 different boxes, some pretty awesome books, probably about $8,000 in books. And there are 3 in here that I think are pretty good books right now to be looking for, and 2 that I would probably avoid unless you can get a great deal on them. So stay tuned to see what we've got, what those recommendations are. So before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. Like I said, I've got a bunch of boxes here, some pretty awesome books. I think some good recommendations for maybe some books that you might want to avoid a little bit right now, as well as some that I think are now pretty good options to pick up. So I'm actually going to start with this package here. It's a single book. And you might wonder, why am I unboxing books that I think you should avoid right now? So I've mentioned this in one of my prior videos, that there are lots of reasons that I buy books. And a lot of the time, though, it's just because I think that book was a great price compared to current prices. So there's always exceptions when I say, maybe this is a book you want to avoid right now. It's that you might want to avoid it at the current market prices. If you find it at a big discount to those prices or a great deal, then yeah, it's still worth picking up. But at those current going prices that you might normally see, then it's one that you might want to avoid. And this book has been really, really hot lately, which always makes me a little nervous. I don't want to pay that top price for those books because the likelihood that they're going to drop, at least in the near term, is pretty high. And so this one, packaged in a Gemini mailer. Everything came fine. It's just a single book in here. This is actually, I'd say this is the smallest book in here by quite a bit. But still a cool key issue right now that has, like I said, gotten really hot. This is Marvel Premiere number 28. And so this is the first appearance of the Legion of Monsters, at least this iteration of the Legion of Monsters. There's a magazine that has a different group of characters that go by that same name. But this is Morbius and Werewolf by Night, Ghost Rider, and Man-Thing. And this book has just skyrocketed because lots of people are expecting those monster horror type characters to come into Disney Plus. And so they're speculating on this book. This is a big one that's being speculated on. And yeah, it's probably, it sounds like Disney, the MCU is going in that route. They probably want to do stuff like that. But we don't really know how far off that is. I think it's very likely that this book could come back down some. But I felt like this was a great deal. That's why I decided to pick it up. And so that is why I got that one. But that's why that one's really a key right now and why it's really been spiking. Now, let's see. Let's open this one. This one has 2 pretty awesome books in it. Now, gosh, post office. I was a little nervous when I saw this. It's like they're always packaged really well. I've bought from the seller a number of times, but just seeing those boxes crunched in like that and knowing how sturdy these boxes are takes a lot to do that. So obviously I'm hoping that there's nothing damaged inside. There are 2 slabs in here. This was from Monster Comic Shop. Like I said, I've bought from them, or that seller, a number of times. They're on Instagram. And this was another one of his like Saturday deals or, like posts that I talked about when he sold that Star Wars #1 before. And I like to look out for those because he usually has some pretty cool books and plenty that I'm interested in buying. And this one had one that I think it's really leveled off and even in some grades started to come down. And it's such a big book that I think this is one of the ones that I would definitely recommend going after if you can. I mean, it's not a cheap book, but it's a pretty big key. It's relatively affordable in some of the lower grades, and it has been coming down, which that's why you can maybe pick them up a little more easily right now. But it is an expensive book. Then the other one, it's just a cool Batman book that I was happy to pick up. So let's see here. Got lots of bubble wrap, which you know, always makes me feel good, especially with the crunch on the box. There's 1 and 2, and he threw in a couple free extra books, which is always awesome, so I'll show those too. So here are the 2 extras that he threw in. We've got DC Comics Presents Batman #1 and What If X-Men Lost Inferno, so What If #6. And then the first book, this is the one that I think is a good book to be looking for right now, because it has come down, it has leveled off, and these books are all going to, I mean, they're going to skyrocket. They will. There's no question in my mind about it. And this is X-Men #3. This is the first appearance of the Blob, really one of their first main villains. He was used in the prior iteration of the X-Men, and so we've seen him on screen before. Doesn't mean we won't see him again, but regardless, it's X-Men #3. Can't really, you know, it's hard to go against something that's that early of an X-Men appearance. It's a 4.0. You know, it's definitely got some spine wear, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, it's a 4.0, but it's a pretty nice presenting 4.0. Colors look really good. You've got like deep greens in the corner box and on the, you know, on the blob part there. But yeah, cool book. So X-Men #3, definitely a book. These early X-Men's, a lot of them have been coming down. X-Men #3 is no exception, and so a book that I would be keeping an eye out for. So that's one of them. Now the other one, this isn't a book that you really try to speculate on so much right now. I don't know if they'll really ever plan on using this character, but you never know. The likelihood that they start picking some of these more obscure characters for some of these Batman films, it's possible. And this is Detective Comics #230. And this is the first appearance of the Mad Hatter. And I think it's such a cool cover. It's right at that crossover of silver to bronze, or sorry, gold to silver. It's 1956. You see it's got the Comics Code Authority. I just love it. You've got all the hats on the cover. And there is an earlier appearance of the Mad Hatter in the Golden Age. But yeah, this is the, kind of call it that first Silver Age appearance, but it's a different character as well that's playing the Mad Hatter. But I've never owned this book before, so I thought that was cool to get to be able to pick up a copy of this one. So Detective Comics 230, first appearance of the Mad Hatter. You know, just it's a pretty rare book in terms of Silver Age keys. You don't see them very often, and yeah, it's a 2.5, but I think it's a pretty nice presenting 2.5. You've got this little piece out of the corner here and some general wear, but I don't know. 2.5. I mean, it is like you've got all this stuff going on the spine, but it's a nice presenting 2.5, and you know what else can you ask for when you're getting these early Batman keys? All right, so this one has a bunch of raws in it. Again, a couple that I think are good to pick up, as well as I think one more that I would probably more or less avoid. This one has a big upgrade for one of my keeper books. So I'm going to open this one first because I am excited to get this one. So it's funny. This is actually one that this book I mentioned in one of my prior CGC unboxing videos, where I was talking about another copy of it that I had that I was happy with for, you know, I was like, I'm happy with it for the time being, it's fine. If, you know, the opportunity comes up to be able to upgrade that copy, and again, it's all depending on the price. I'm going to do it. And this is from a seller that I buy from pretty regularly. This is from Sinbad Comics. He always works with me, so I'm super happy about this one. Oh, man, it's such a cool book. All right, so this is Golden Age book from a run that I've been putting together. This is Famous Funnies number 215, and it is a 5.0 and white pages. So 1955, Frank Frazetta cover. So Frank Frazetta did the run from issues 209 to 216 of Famous Funnies, and most of the covers, I'm not a huge fan of 216 and 211, but all the rest of them are really cool sci-fi covers. I mean, some people I'm sure like the other ones, they aren't my favorites. This is one that I really like. This is there are 2 underwater covers. There's this one in 210. This is one where he's fighting this, you know, giant octopus. He's always saving the woman in the red dress. She's captured again, and he's fighting her off, or fighting off the octopus to save her. And I mean, this grade is incredible for these books. You don't get them very often in these mid grades. And so I have the other copy that I showed previously, and that was this one here, which is a nice presenting copy at 3.5, but it's a green label. You can see it's missing the centerfold. And I've had some people ask, like, why do they sometimes get green labels, sometimes blue labels? The general rule of thumb that I've seen is that if the book would grade 2 full grades higher, if it had that thing that's wrong with it, like in this case, if the centerfold was there, it would grade, in this case, a 3.5. But without the centerfold, it's going to get an incomplete. It's going to get a 0.5. So it's 3 full grades higher that they're saying it looks like. And so when it's 2 or more, they tend to give it the green labels. Now, you can ask to have the blue label regardless. I think if you put like a sticky note on it or something like that, you can say, give me the blue label regardless. I don't want the green label. And then this would come back as a 0.5. But in this case, you know, it's 3.5 because it looks like a 3.5. It just has this major flaw that they're ignoring to say that it's a 3.5 instead of the 0.5. But that was my prior copy, which I will now be selling that copy. And now this is the upgraded copy. So 5.0. Really happy about this one. This is a big book, and they're so hard to come by. But yeah, awesome Frank Frazetta artwork. So super cool. Really excited about that one. All right, so this last box here, this has a bunch of raw books in it. There's some Silver Age books, there's some Bronze Age books, there's some Golden Age books, and there's some cool books in here. I'm pretty excited about this one. Like I said, I think there's one more that I would probably avoid right now. Again, I felt like the ones that I picked up were a great price, so I decided to go for it. But you know, if you're paying like full-on retail, then maybe not. So let's see here. All right, how many books we got in here? I think I got 9 books, so a lot of raw books in here. So let's see here. I'm just going to organize these. All right, so we've got these 9 books in here. These first 2 are 2 that I think are good to be looking for right now because they have come down in price a ton. Guaranteed we're seeing this character again. So when you have the opportunity to get these books at a discount, do it. That's why, like, for me, if I have those books and I see the prices coming down, I'm not gonna, if I'm selling them, I'm not gonna drop my price on the book. I'll just wait. I know that character's coming back, the prices are gonna come up again, and that's how I feel with these. And those are Amazing Spider-Man, $2.98 and $2.99. And now these are another one of those controversial books like Hulk 180, Hulk 181, where you've got cameos and first full appearances and all that kind of thing, because everybody calls Amazing Spider-Man 300 the first full appearance of Venom. But then some people will say the first appearance of Venom is actually $2.98. Some will say the first appearance of Venom is actually $2.99. And since I've got the books here and they're raw, you know, I can show you why. So this is $2.98, and so here we go. This is issue 298, and if you go all the way to the last page, you've got this little shot down here on the bottom, and so that's the symbiote going on his hands, and so that's like the first time you see his hand. You know, that's Venom's hand that you're seeing there. And so some people might say, okay, that's the first appearance of Venom. That's the first time you see him in comics. But you're not really seeing him as his hand. That's one where you could definitely argue, if you're, you know, going between cameo and full appearance, like that's a cameo. There's no question that that's a cameo. Now, where it starts to get, you know, a little more controversial is with $2.99. And this one, it's almost exactly like what you see with Hulk 180 and Hulk 181. Because, you know, this one out. Again, you go to that go to that last page. And, well, kind of like the last 2 pages even. So this is the second to last page, and so then you've got Venom there kind of in the shadows. And if that was all there was, you'd probably say, okay, cameo. But then this is what makes it like Hulk 180. You've got the very last page, and you've got full-on Todd McFarlane Venom with his name, Venom, on the bottom. It's, you know, it's very similar to what you see with Hulk 180 and Hulk 181. You've got that last page, you've got the character named, the character speaks, and you've got a full image of the character. And so a lot of people would argue that that is a first appearance. That's a first full appearance. And so that's where you can see that you've got that controversy with these books versus Amazing Spider-Man 300, as well as Hulk 180 and Hulk 181. So, but that's these two. These Venom books have just crashed after that Venom movie. I mean, they spiked into the movie and then they crashed. And he's coming back. We know he's coming back, and they're going to spike again. And so I will happily pick up Venom books. I think those are great books to be looking for right now. Now, I did get a couple more Amazing Spider-Man books. These ones are Silver Age, and you can just never go wrong, really, with Silver Age Amazing Spider-Man. First one is Amazing Spider-Man number 44, and this is the second appearance of the Lizard. Took him, what was it, 38 more issues. His first appearance is in issue number 6, second appearance in issue number 44, 38 issues for them to bring him back. But this is his second appearance, and again, can't go wrong with Silver Age key issues. That's actually one of the like I'd say my most important books that I had as a kid. That was it. I owned a 44. I never was able to get that first appearance, just way too expensive, but I had a 44. I love that book, and so I thought that was a cool one to pick up. Second one, I have a few copies of this book. It's just, I think this is a pretty undervalued key for Silver Age Amazing Spider-Man, and this is Amazing Spider-Man number 46. This is the first appearance of the Shocker, and I would say, I mean, I mentioned I had 3 that I would be looking for. This would be one that I think is also pretty reasonable to pick up right now. It is a pretty affordable book for an Amazing Spider-Man first appearance, Silver Age first appearance. This is a pretty affordable book, and so I would definitely, you know, consider looking for this one, whether you're an Amazing Spider-Man collector or not. I think this is another pretty good book to look for. Now, this next book is a controversial one. This one has, it's pricey, and it's pricey because of that controversy. This is Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane, number 106. You see on the bottom, it says, I am Curious Black. So this is when Lois Lane transforms herself into a black woman to see what it's like to live as a black woman. And this is a, I mean, it just is a controversial story. It probably maybe not the best way for DC, direction for DC to go, but that's why this book is so expensive now. You know, check out prices on this book. It is a pricey book for what's kind of a obscure title, Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane. There are a couple big issues in that title. The other one is issue number 70. That's the first Silver Age appearance of Catwoman. But this is another one that if you see this book and you see it for a deal, like if somebody has this one for a deal, this is a big book really in almost any grade. And so definitely consider picking that one up if you see it. All right. Now I've got this is a Bronze Age Marvel key. This is the other one that I think I would recommend avoiding or being cautious around right now. It has continued to spike. It's still up near its highs, and I think it could definitely come down some because this character's first appearance has been coming down for the most part. This is their first solo story or first solo title, and that is Ghost Rider number 1. So this is the first solo title for Ghost Rider. This book, it's all green arrows basically next to it in GPA. And yeah, it's a great cover. I think it's a great alternative to Marvel Spotlight 5, which is a very expensive book. This one is more affordable than that. But I think this one is still, it's been peaking and it hasn't really pulled back like a lot of other books have. And I think you could easily see this book pull back. So I would be cautious with this book. I wouldn't necessarily go after this one. I don't think it's a super risky book to buy. It's such a popular character that it's going to retain value for the most part, but I do think we could see prices come down on this before we ultimately likely see this character in the MCU. Right. So the last three, some pretty awesome Golden Age books. So let's see. Let's do this one first. So this is a book called Strange Worlds #5. And this is one of these classic good girl art covers. And I mean, you can see why. It's a pretty scantily clad, woman cover, and you've got, the super creepy monster guy. You've got the guy with the ray gun in the back. But I had been trying to get a copy of this book for a while. I saw this one come up for sale, and I was happy to be able to pick this one up because it's a pricey book. You don't get an opportunity to buy them all that often, and so I was happy to be able to get this one. So Strange Worlds #5. Then the next two are some pre-code horror books. The first one is Mysterious Adventures #20. You can see got that cool skull cover. This guy framed his friends, and so they're putting him in the chair. So, but yeah, the Mysterious Adventures has a bunch of really cool skull covers in it, and this is just one of them. I thought that was a cool book to pick up. Always, I've mentioned this a number of times. I like picking up pre-code horror books. I'm not really always going to say like, oh, I'd go, that's an undervalued book, I'd go pick it up, because they're hard to find. It's not like it's an easy book for you to just go get. Whereas Silver Age Amazing Spider-Man, you can come across those. When you're talking about, Golden Age pre-code horror, it's a little more difficult to come across those books and pick those ones up. But the last one, this is one I had been trying to buy a copy of this book for a pretty long time. The prices just keep going up and up. This is one of these EC titles, a classic EC cover. This is Crime Suspense Stories #16. Got this crazy guy with the razor blade on the cover. And this is another one of these really cool, like faded covers. When you've got kind of like the starburst or sunburst covers where it's fading from the bottom to the top. And there are a number of really cool covers from Crime Suspense Stories. Obviously 22 is the big one. That's the most expensive book in that run. But this one is getting up there. This is a pretty in-demand book, and so again, another book that I was real happy to pick up. So those are all the books. Hope you enjoyed this video. A lot of cool stuff, some Golden Age, Bronze, Silver, some recommendations for books that I think are pretty good to be looking for right now, like that Amazing Spider-Man 298, 299. I'd throw 300 in there too. It's come down a lot, as well as X-Men 3, those early X-Men keys, like X-Men 3, X-Men 4, they've been coming down in price. Great books to be picking up. There are also some that I said I would recommend probably avoiding right now or being cautious around, like Marvel Premiere #28, that First Legion of Monsters, just really hot book right now, and Ghost Rider #1. That one's also one that I would be a little careful around with the prices that it's at right now. But hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. I've got more videos over here if you'd like to watch some of my other videos, and the subscription button right here. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.